Hello and welcome to this video review of Tower Bloxx Deluxe for TheSixthAxis.com. I'm going to start off by explaining a little bit about the game's mechanics and controls, and then we'll take a quick look through the menus and onto the story mode and multiplayer modes. So basically the game works like this. You see a screen with these blocks swinging about dangling from a crane. You're controlling the crane and you have to build the tower as high as you can. The more precisely you drop each block on top of the previous one, the more people will swoop down, Mary Poppins style, on umbrellas to live in your colourful tower. Your score is based on how many people you can get living in the tower. So basically, the aim of the game is to build your tower as tall and as straight as possible. Dropping a block off-centre will make the tower become more unstable and cause it to sway around more when you're trying to place your next block. These two differently timed reciprocal motions made by the swaying tower and the swinging block are what gives the game its difficulty. As you can see, the art style is cartoony, with characters that are based on the Xbox 360's avatars. The game even places your own avatar in the cab of the crane when you finish a level. Personally, I like the style of this. It isn't going to win awards for textures or lighting, but it is bright, colourful, crisp and cheerful, which is just about all you can hope for in a digitally distributed puzzle game. So let's talk about the controls. This game originated on mobile phones, so it's no surprise that the control scheme is nice and simple. Press the A button to drop your block. That's it. You can swing the camera around with the left stick for a change of viewpoint, or sporadically you can press the Y button to get a weird shot of a peripheral scene, which I'll talk about in a minute. But as far as game mechanics go, it's single button simplicity. In the single player quick game mode, the player is awarded with scenes to view when they reach certain milestones in tower height. These range from an avatar walking down the street through some frankly vomit-inducing scenes of avatars relaxing in their shoddily constructed single room dwellings, and onto shots of biplanes circling your tower. In later stages, when your tower is really tall, you also get treated to shots of a satellite, as well as those umbrella flying tenants turning into spacemen. These different views are a little bit bizarre, but I suppose they do give you an amusing little distraction for about 4 seconds. They are also entirely optional, so perhaps I shouldn't be too harsh on them. Right, let's take a quick look at the range of options on the menu screen. There are the usual single player quick game and time attack modes, as well as the story mode, which we'll look at in a moment. On the multiplayer side, there are options for competitive quick game, competitive time attack and a cooperative mode. All of these options are for local multiplayer only, so there will be no playing with 13-year-old hyperactives in Arkansas over live with this game. You'll just have to provide your own 13-year-old hyperactives. Let's look at the single player story mode before we go into the multiplayer stuff. You're presented with an introduction screen which tries to explain that the town has stopped growing and the mayor's plans for his great metropolis have ground to a halt because they can't get enough residents. At this point, a woman, presumably insane, suggests that they build rickety, colourful tower blocks to cram all the residents into. After all, cramped and precariously teetering tower blocks are made 1,000 times more attractive to inhabitants by making them colourful. I think she might have got her architect's qualifications by email. The story mode contains elements of extremely thin strategy. In each area of the map, you can build different coloured towers to increase the population and gain power-ups like balcony blocks, which give you a population boost if placed perfectly. The strategy comes into play when you discover that you can only build red towers next to blue ones, green towers between a red and blue one, etc. Essentially, you have to build the best towers of various colours to fill them with as many people as possible in order to get new construction materials, to build better towers and progress to even more construction materials. It seems to have been stuck in at the last minute to provide justification for the Xbox Live Arcade pricing of 800 Microsoft points. But it's an extra mode, so maybe we shouldn't complain too much. Alright, most of you know that I'm a misanthropic old grump that generally hates people, so multiplayer has to do something special to impress me. Let's get one thing straight before we go on. I prefer local multiplayer to the online stuff. It's just nicer to be able to cause physical harm to the person who is constantly beating me at a game than having to put up with endless gloating down a headset. So for me, the puzzling omission of online multiplayer doesn't have a big impact, but for many of you it will possibly be a deal breaker. It is hard to imagine why it was left out, as there can't be that much going on as to make it technically too difficult. So for whatever reason, there is no online here. Let's take a look at the local multiplayer modes to see if there is anything our live friends will be missing out on. First up, let's see the co-op mode, which is easily the best multiplayer mode available. The aim is to beat the clock by building your tower as tall as you can and winning time bonuses. The second player gains control of a huge gloved pokey finger, which can nudge your misplaced blocks back into alignment and make your tower more stable. Roles are automatically switched at defined points, so both players should get a go at block dropping and block nudging. This mode is 2-player only, but it lends itself to plenty of frantic action and frustrated finger pointing when things inevitably go wrong. Next up, we'll look at the battle mode, where you can take up to 4 players head to head in a race to build a tower of a set number of blocks. There are numerous power-ups and defences which enable you to make your opponent's screen wobble or their swing become erratic. Standard stuff which is a lot of fun in the right company, but not going to blow you away with its originality. Finally, we have the time attack mode, which is essentially the same as the single player version. The aim is to build your tower taller than your opponent as quickly as possible. You receive a time bonus for every so many blocks you place and for getting them placed perfectly, which enables you to continue playing after your opponent has been eliminated. So I guess it's about time we did some pros and cons, right? Okay, the pros. Tower Bloxx Deluxe is different to anything else out there. It makes good use of the Xbox 360 avatars, and local multiplayer is fun and frantic. The cons? There isn't a great deal of content, and what is there is basically one trick repeated. No online multiplayer limits your options for playing with friends, and at 800 Microsoft points, it seems a little bit steep for such limited content. So I suppose it's time for the inevitable score rating. Okay, it gets 6 out of 10 because it's fun without presenting a lot of content or very much compulsion to replay it. Thank you for watching this video review from TheSixthAxis.com.